Okay, so now that you've had a chance to think about this question, we should try to decide when is it okay to just add the lengths of two vectors together to find the length of the vector sum. So let's consider these cases. The first is when the two vectors are perpendicular to each other. So if we drew a picture of what that looked like, let's say this is vector A, and let's say this is vector B. If they're perpendicular to each other, if I add this length with this length, do I get the length of the vector sum? No, that really wouldn't work. If they're perpendicular to each other, you really can't add the two lengths of the vectors and expect that to be equal to the vector sum. What about when they're in the same direction? So that would look like, let's say this is vector A, and vector B points in the same direction. Then when I add those two vectors together, the resultant would look something like that. And in this case, it is okay to add the two lengths of the vectors together. So if A and B point in the same direction, we can take the length of each, sum it, and get the length of the vector sum. So actually, that is our answer. If we had the opposite directions, then that would be like, here's vector A, here's vector B, and the sum would go from the tip of the first to the tail of the last, so the resultant vector from adding A plus B would look like that. And in this case, you can see that the length of the resultant would actually be the difference between the lengths of the two vectors. So what we want is B. They have to be oriented in the same direction for it to be okay just to add the lengths.